Wake up, buyer payer people. It's a beautiful day. Go grab yourself another cup of joe and say hello to Jim and Michelle Rhoads on the Buy Here Pay Here Morning Show. Take it away, you two.
Goodness gracious. Good morning, everybody.
Hi. Welcome.
Hi.
To a Wednesday.
Oh, yeah. It's a White Hat
Are
Wednesday.
you fixing my camera?
Yeah, I am. Okay, now that's better.
I was counting on you starting the show.
I fuss, don't I? So
Right.
happy Wednesday. It's I that is kind of the thing that I do, isn't it? Is I start talking. It's like, women are allowed or not allowed. We were talking with some colleagues of ours a while ago, and they were like, okay, so women use words a lot more than men do. And I get this, and it's just because I'm going to keep my comment to myself on that one. It's just, but we use words, and we use a lot of words. And this colleague friend of ours was like, at the end of the day, that they would kind of come together and talk about their work day. And, she in this couple is like, and he's just stop. My capacity for accepting words is at its limit today.
Yeah. I think I said this on the podcast before too. Like in that same context, like the way I think about that is the problem is it doesn't always coincide. Whenever you're talkative, it's not always the same time that I'm listenative.
That's not a real word, but it is in our household.
Hashtag listenative. Let's put it on the thing.
So in the morning, I'm usually the one that's most talkative. Great weather. Our prayers are with all of our friends and colleagues that are in the path of Milton. We lived in the Tampa Bay area for a while, and so there's it's coming in. I from living there, I subscribe to a weather forecaster that's just very well known in the area, and he's usually the most accurate of anybody. And so I've been watching, and he's like, it's weakening, it's still fast, but it's weakening. And so
did you see the little video where the one weather guy got emotional? I forget which broadcast track or whatever, but there was a guy who got emotional describing how intense this thing was. He just knew how.
Oh yeah. Well, and that's the thing that this weather forecaster is like, it's weakening. So which it kind of does, and the wobble and all of that kind of stuff. But I did see a video yesterday of, they have like these government planes that go into the thing to track the speed. That's how they know. That's how we know the speed is not because we send a bird or something. It's just we're sending a big bird. We're sending a steel bird to gather all this information. So it was video from inside, and you're watching these guys. It's just like you can see all the stuff on their tables just flying everywhere because they're just hitting such pockets of craziness. So
another video I saw.
Okay.
This guy had an idea. He's being interviewed on like a news station, and he's like, they could solve this, like this whole weather thing. Like he was suggesting that they should send the Coast Guard out to dump ice in the ocean because that would cool the waters, which would reduce the.
My brain is on overload and I'm frying. I'm like, okay, so yes, but that's not practical.
It's also not possible.
Like that's like an iceberg kind of ice to cool down the water in the Gulf. So
it's like an ocean worth of iceberg. It's it's not, that doesn't work.
But I mean the math. You cool it down and you don't have that problem. So I get it, but it's like it's scale here, baby.
It's not like you're going to take some big gulps out there and dump them in the water.
Everybody along the coast go grab a big gulp just full of ice and just dump it into Tampa Bay.
We probably shouldn't be making light of this. This is obviously
I know.
Very
I'm sorry.
Serious
It absolutely is. I'm so.
No,
yes, I'm sorry. And I know, like, our friend George Spat, who lives in Florida, just finished the Florida conference. And, I was watching some of our colleagues and dealers talking about whether or not they can or cannot get out.
Sure.
And that George was driving back to Tampa Bay, where he lives, and was getting things prepared. And that was the day before yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and we know lots of folks. I mean, I was in Sarasota, Bradenton 20 years ago. Know a lot of people across there. We know through our industry, a lot of people in the Sarasota, Bradenton area. And so, yeah, it's going to be
really are, even though we were making jokes about ice. Jim was around a couple of years ago when there was a pretty decent hurricane that was coming in.
Storms. Yeah.
I do too. And they do them alphabetical and keep rotating through. But it was supposed to hit right. It was the one that was so devastating down in the Naples area.
Right.
And I was like, get the heck out of Tampa Bay, because it was supposed to come up through there. And then it didn't. And so Jim sat in a hotel because the flight that I booked for him out of Orlando had been canceled.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So just our thoughts and prayers go out to everybody out there that's in the path of, or that lives south of this band, because they're probably going to be cut off of a lot of supplies and things for a minute. Okay. That was enough. That's
I think we covered it.
Yeah.
A couple quick updates too. Friday, Jeff Martin will be with us from NIADA.
Yeah. They've got some stuff coming up.
Yeah.
And some stuff
Everybody knows Jeff as the CEO of NIADA, and he will be here to talk about, I asked him to come and talk about, kind of recap the policy conference that just wrapped up, and then to kind of give us some updates on the upcoming dealer forum, which is in New Orleans, I believe.
Yes.
So we'll get that all information. That's coming up in November. So we'll have a chance to talk to Jeff on Friday. And then I've decided for the following Friday, the topic's going to be how to turn outsourced repairs faster. So I've got some pretty useful tips on that. So
sorry about that.
We'll cover that the following Friday.
Yeah, right on.
Wednesday of next week.
That was my mom, just in case you're wondering.
Let's talk to her. Get her on the call.
Today's Wednesday. White Hat Wednesday is the day that I pick up my mom and we spend half a day doing errands and stuff like that. So back to Jeff, that's squirrel. Yeah. Jeff Martin coming in, really great. You've got the new topic for Friday. Remind me what it was, because I heard the ring and it just completely threw me.
It's turning outsourced repairs faster.
That's right. So
some tips on how to make that stuff move faster.
Yeah.
So dealers are struggling with recon still. A lot of them still say that the only thing keeping them from selling more is being able to recondition more. So I'm going to offer some pretty concrete tips a week from Friday. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Sounds great. Okay. So today's topic
is how to proactively approach the holidays.
Okay. So can I start this conversation?
No, please don't. No, this is not a good time.
Too bad.
As if she's going to not do it.
I have a lot of words in the morning. Right. For me to start talking about holiday stuff now is almost just, it's just wrong. I mean, you go to the stores and all of that, and there's Christmas decorations everywhere, and we haven't even flipping had Halloween. So, and I am like one of those weird people that I don't start shopping until just weeks away. My mom has probably got her Christmas shopping done. But so to talk about the holidays, there's a part of me that is like, because it's still so far away. But then Jim told me the numbers. How many days until Thanksgiving?
50 days to Thanksgiving.
50 days to take 50. And when you can put it on the scale of, that's a month and a half. So, and how many payments is that? That's like 2 to 3 payments.
Well, a lot of your customers are biweekly. Most dealers have the biggest part of their portfolio biweekly.
So like 2 to 3 payments from Thanksgiving, and then how many days from Christmas?
Well, it'd be more than 2 or 3, I think, but 6. I guess 6 weeks or so. Yeah, I guess.
So, so how many till Christmas?
I didn't do that math, but
you said it was 70 something.
So you're talking about 5, 14, 77.
Another 2. So you've got 2 to 3.
To
Thanksgiving, and 4 to 5 to Christmas.
On bi-weeklies.
So that's not very many payments. We know that.
And for our monthly customers, you just have 2. You got early November and early December that are going to be impacting Christmas. Now, what we're talking about here, and I really want to kind of keep this in a white hat context, because it's about how do we do this in a way, and I've done it, like as a former dealer, we were pretty careful to make sure, and we actually purposefully gifted a lot of our customers with certain rewards and incentives and benefits at the holidays. So you've heard us talk about Christmas parties. We've done Christmas parties and given away stuff, and some of that ties into what we'll talk about here, but what I'm really suggesting is, in a pure collections context, if I can be proactive, then the other thing we always talk about with White Hat Way is, why do we wait until our customers are past due to talk to them? Why don't we find reasons to talk to them, before, and, thank them for their business and recognize their on-time payment history and the fact that they're halfway through their account and all these reasons that we have to talk to them and thank them. And so this is an opportunity for us going into the holiday period to be able to get with our collections team, develop a strategy, develop a budget. I would suggest that we build a budget in there that would allow us to decide so that we can manage our way through Christmas and not have it be so disruptive. Having been a dealer, I've seen it and been a member of 20 Group. A lot of times what happens is after Christmas, delinquency really spikes and it takes some weeks to get it back in line. And I think the piece that troubles me the most about that is the stress factor. So,
for whom?
For everybody. Let's talk about the customer first. The stress of being behind at the holidays, and if they're hiding, they spent their money on their kids and Christmas, and they didn't make their car payment, and they made that choice, and it was the wrong choice. But now that they're in that place, they're scared. They don't know what to do, and so they're nervous throughout the holidays about what's going to happen with their car if they're not in communication with the dealer, right? And some customers will hide. What would be a reason to hide? Well, for a customer to choose to do Christmas for their kids instead of a car payment, I think most of us can see where that comes from,
well, and to ask the dealers out there. I mean, how many of you are going to skip Christmas?
Right.
You'll find a way to be able to do something.
And the unfortunate reality is you do have customers who skip Christmas. They don't have the means to buy for Christmas.
There is a difference. And I actually was told a very, very emotional story by my aunt a couple weeks ago about she had friends that had my mom grew up very poor. Grandpa worked really, really hard. Grandma also worked in cafeterias at the schools. Lunch. She was a lunch lady. I can even see her in her rubber gloves. And they had 9 children. I mean, back, you're kind of going back in the day, but that she had friends that were really comfortable. And Christmas Day, she went over to her friends and, and they got all this stuff. And then she came back and in tears was like, she got a coloring book. In tears, it's like, why didn't we get, whatever? And she was sternly scolded and told to go apologize to grandma. But she was just a kid that's a question any kid would have. And it's tragic when, it's tragic. And I know it's really commercialized and all of that, but to be able to allow the bandwidth, and this is a question I was like, why is this topic a White Hat Way topic? Because it could be a straight line topic. It's just, this is straight line collections. Figure out, how do you navigate this so that you're still able to put money in the bank or But this really is a white hat topic because this is a matter of the heart, and not that we want everyone to be like bleeding hearts, but
I would
say, go ahead.
I would say it is a matter of the heart, and it's an opportunity for us to show that we operate our business from a place of compassion and understanding and all these kind of things and empathy. So I'm not suggesting that we give all the customers a free pass. Let's just jump to that right away. I'm not suggesting we can't afford that. We have utilities to pay in Christmas and payroll to meet in Christmas, just like every other time of the year. What I am suggesting, though, is that for most of the dealers that we work with and most of the dealers who will hear this podcast, the reality is the difference between the customer making their payment in December versus January is not the difference between staying in business and not being in business, right? It's like it's a financial matter that we have to navigate, and with good planning, we can be prepared. We can budget for it. We can incentivize customers who do what is asked of them, and we can reward them for performing, through certain periods or whatever. And so this is really where I was going today, is like, this is something I used to do as a dealer, and I would have learned it from other dealers who, did it before me, I'm sure. But certainly I try to operate my business with heart. We genuinely did care about the customers that we served. And so I know that's true for many of our dealers out there as well. So what I'm really asking us to think about is, where's the stress? So you asked, who's stressed? Customer is stressed because they can't make it all work. They can't do the car payment and the Christmas and all the stuff. The collections team is stressed. Their delinquency is, spiking, and the customer doesn't want to talk to them. And so that puts pressure on them. They may have their own bonuses on the line, right? And they're counting on their bonus, leading into the holidays or what have you. And then there's the stress of the dealer who's seeing their bank deposits run shorter than normal and seeing their delinquency list get really long. And so this is part of with a good strategy, we could lessen the impact of that.
So, Fahad is, he says, we do a giveaway for for on-time payments in December. Yeah. And that's kind of what I was thinking. It's like, even getting on the horn now and through November, it's like, if you are current by the 1st of December, then we're going to give you like the second payment in December off, so you can buy Christmas for your family. And so that's kind of what I was thinking. And it sounds like Fahad does something kind of like that. And then sometimes we have a raffle for a TV or gift cards. And so that's Fahad. That's very similar to what Jim used to do with his dealership and with dealerships that he's managed.
Yeah. And I would say for today, that stuff in kind of in a goodwill context, Christmas parties and giveaways, that's one thing. I'm really talking about the actual payment.
Yeah.
Like, so for today, I really want to kind of keep it on how do we manage the customers' payments that are coming due? So I'm going to offer some suggestions. I've got them on the screen here. I'll put them up in a minute. But the idea is, how do we do this in a way that we can have conversations with customers leading into the holidays? So Michelle, you've got a payment coming due 2 days after Christmas. So that means that you must have a payment due about 12 days before Christmas. So I'm going to meet with you, and we're going to talk about, so whether it's on the phone or in person or Zoom call or however we connect with our customers now, it's like, we talk to them and say, hey, you've got a payment coming due. Like, what's the outlook? Where are you at with hours? Do you expect to be able to make that payment on time? Do we need some relief? Like, where are you at? And so we don't have to offer relief right away, but we just are proactively asking where we're at.
So who are you making these phone calls to?
Every customer that is scheduled right around Christmas.
Okay, so not only those that are X, but it's like every single customer's getting a phone call.
It's a beautiful goodwill campaign. Okay. And so I'm just really reaching out to the customer and talking to them, especially those customers who are coming due the week before Christmas, or even the ones who are coming due in the days after Christmas, because we know financially those paychecks are going to be stretched. You're right. They're going to be stressed. And so what I'm trying to really do is talk to the customer in advance, make them aware. They're going to hear in my tone of voice, we know Christmas, can be a strain. Let's talk about, what does it look like for you? Are you going to have full-time hours?
So is what I'm kind of hearing, and maybe it's just in the background, is it's not about payment forgiveness, but maybe payment restructuring for the next 2 or 3 payments.
It's whatever dealers choose, some balance of all the stuff. So what I want to offer, let me just put the first one on the screen. So Fahad mentioned one here, is like, the first incentive that I would put up there would be drawings, okay, for eligible customers. So how's that going to affect the customer? If you have a drawing and give them a turkey, how does that affect their car payment? They could still be on your past due list. So so when I talk about a drawing, what I'm really saying, and when I say eligible customers, I mean customers who are current. That's kind of what you heard Fahad refer to. But if you incentivize that and you do drawings, among the things that you could draw for would be payment vouchers. I'm going to talk about that in a bit. But for example, so if we talk about the payment relief element to this, we could incentivize customers. And so, for example, who would we reward? Well, you could make it such that every customer who's made 3 on-time payments leading into Christmas is eligible for a drawing. And that all it does is give them maybe a payment relief, right, of up to $200 or whatever the number needs to look like for you. But imagine how that looks for the customers going in whenever they can, and maybe it's a drawing for a deferral. Make your payments on time. Only customers who are current are eligible for that. And by the way, I would ask you to contemplate why do we make it only for the customers who are eligible? Discuss that with your team and ask them, shouldn't we also consider extending, maybe there's something the customer can do based on recency, or if you paid at least X, can we get you eligible for these drawings?
Yeah.
Because it's just meant to provide relief, and it's not like that customer needs some relief, right? So look at that as well.
And we've talked about that many times in regards to just collections overall, is that if you have some kind of a program in your dealership that is a month to month kind of thing too, that rewards good payments, then, it's
so you can decide internally, like for each dealer, for some it may, what is the eligible? I just put eligible customers. So you would decide what is your definition of an eligible customer, and make drawings available. But I would say, as we do those drawings, let's consider not just gifts, which can certainly be nice. I would say, let's think about things like these either could be gift cards for Christmas and Christmas dinner, whatever. It could be payment relief, which could come in the form of a voucher that they redeem, almost like in some software system it would be called like a no pay. We basically we basically forgive that payment, or we give you a credit against that payment. It's not that it gets deferred, it's actually gone. Okay. And then there's deferrals. So the next one would be earned deferrals. So now with deferrals, I'm really protective of deferrals. I think everybody should be super protective of deferrals, and they should be limited. It's a big area of vulnerability for dealers. So from a pure security limit standpoint inside a DMS system and internal controls, that should be very limited.
Okay.
But if you think about for the dealer, they can, if you have $100 payment that's coming due, I can either say, here's a voucher, I'm taking care of your $100 payment this month. Okay. Or I could say, you've earned a deferral, you've made X number of on-time payments, you're eligible for deferral. Now you have the option. Would you like to take advantage of your deferral? I could give you a deferral coupon, and you can use it at some point in the future. If you're good for the Christmas and you want to keep your payments caught up and save that for a rainy day deferral, you could do that. But here it is. You've earned it with some on-time payments leading up to Christmas, as an example. So that's, another way you could get there. So it depends on the software. Different systems have different ways to do that. And I certainly think from a security standpoint, we have to know how many of those happened. Why? Because if I defer as a dealer, 50 customers at $200, then that's money that I thought was going to be in our bank account this month. And it's not. That's why I say budget. We got a budget, because it's still, we're still collecting the money and we're still earning interest on the balances out there, but it's kicking it down the road. And so I think we got to be ready.
Which is kind of like why we're talking about this in the beginning of October.
Right.
And we're probably a little late for
September would be better next year.
So but we felt like it was a really good time to talk about this, because we've talked about it in the past, but not in this context.
So I think, the earlier the better, especially if you're going to try to incentivize. And I can share I even did a program. I remember in our own dealership one year, we did a little deal we thought about early enough to actually offer customers the option to pay an extra $10 with their payment to sort of buy, relief.
Well, talking about buying relief, as you were talking, you hate it when my mind goes somewhere. So I'm just trying to jot something down really, really quick so that I stay engaged.
Okay.
But it was, you could, as during the purchase part of when someone comes in to purchase a vehicle, is have, for every X amount of dollars over this threshold of down payment, we'll give you one payment voucher so that you can use it however you want to. And it's like, if you get 3 of them, you only get to use them annually, and you can choose Christmas or school clothes or whatever. And it's just like, thank you for the extra big down payment. Here is our thank you to you. You get one of these every year. This first one you can't use for 6 months or whatever. But then on every anniversary, you get I know you want to keep the rules as
do,
little as possible,
any of
but
this kind of stuff. Well,
yeah.
I want a clear set of rules, and it can be simple, but they need to be clear because anytime you do this kind of thing, and I'm thinking more about drawings right now. Anytime you do drawings, I always tell our clients, I'm always super protective of the idea. The worst case scenario is that you do a drawing and then you have a bunch of people upset because your rules weren't clear, and you're trying to do a goodwill thing and trying to do a nice thing, and because you didn't have the rules real clear, people end up upset, and then it was not fair, and blah blah blah. And so, you obviously just need to go to great lengths to make sure you avoid that situation. Try to think of every scenario. But back to the thing about deferrals, I think I love where you're going with the ability to offer those to a customer, and they can just earn them through on-time payments or whatever. So you just have a method for them to be redeemed in the deal. And so it's back to what you and I talked about, and this comes up as part of what White Hat Way is looking to create more education and solutions around in our industry of subprime automotive finance, where the customer has not, often hasn't shown much financial responsibility in the past, and they step into a business relationship, where we need to have a high degree of accountability. I think, Joe, in the philosophy or psychology 101, the first thing a freshman college kid would learn in a psychology class is the thing about reward and punishment. It's like human behavior is typically influenced by either reward or punishment. And in our industry, we use a lot of punishment.
It's punitive. It is very, very
reward.
Punitive. And
it can affect behavior just as much.
From my perspective, is if you're using reward as the motivator, that you have a greater opportunity of retaining a customer.
And collectors
and all of that.
For your culture and
because
environment.
it just on its ear, it's just a pivot in what it is that our main focus is. Is it punitive or is it reward? Is it punitive or is it reward?
And let me just say, I think you'll always have to have some punitive element. We've got contracts that have clauses, and we have to be ready to act. I'm just saying, when you do only punishment and you don't do the reward side of it, then it creates an environment that's pretty ugly.
And it goes, like you said, and collectors, you keep collectors because, we talked about it just a second ago, is that when you can give a collector extra ways of solving or incentivizing a customer, one of our customers, to make their payment and be on time, it's like it just completely shifts the way the conversation is. It's like, to say you're late with your payment, when you're going to get it in, is a different conversation than you're late or it's like, let's not be late, because we want to be able to create an environment that they call ahead. If there's going to be a problem, they're calling. Let's not be late because you're like right there for getting your next payment voucher. So how, and being solution oriented then as a collector, it's like, is there anyone that owes you money? Is there, and let's keep you on this, because then they're both on the same side of the table and they're excited. It's like we're a team. Let's solve this problem. Because if you can turn your collectors into collective problem solvers with the customer, oh my gosh, that's where you've got people love the collector, and they're like, they're my best friend and I love this, that kind of thing.
I mean, I think there's an interesting thing. That'd be a future topic. You might want to jot this down. Like the thing about, because I've confirmed this with dealers in the past, like they're being their best friend is good, but there's always a line that you cross, is when you become too friendly with the customers, they tend to take advantage. So there's a whole conversation there that we can save for another day.
Yes. And it's okay.
You're going on a tangent now.
I'm not so much going to tangent, but it's based on a conversation I had last night with a bunch of my friends, that how do you, you can still be their friend and have difficult conversations. It just requires more training.
And relationship equity helps, which is where I was kind of working toward. Because when you said become friendly, here's what I can tell you. In the times that we've spent thousands of dollars on Christmas parties, like I managed a dealership in Tennessee that was doing about 40 a month. And I want to say we had 350, 400 customers in the portfolio at the time I was working with them. And so when we would do a Christmas party, it got to be such a big deal, because I showed them how to do it, and then they did it themselves, what have you. it would be hundreds of customers at these events
with their kids,
and just we would run a banquet hall and it'd be full of people, and we'd be doing a let's make a deal and giving stuff away, and it was just a lot
playing
of fun.
games and
so relationship equity. So now when that customer associates my name and face, or my manager's name and face, with something that is goodwill and that shows that we really care.
Fun. Yeah.
But it also shows that the customer, that we really care.
It does. And, you talk about equity with our consumers.
Right.
When you think about, and it's another kind of tangent, but not really a tangent, is I have this group of friends that some of them I know really well and others I don't. And so the ones that I know really well, I can get into a deep conversation and all of that. I love being able to get to know someone, because then it creates that, and having experiences with someone, where it's like an experience of fun, of all of that, there's something psychological about, having that commonality, that you now have a connection with your customer, or with, someone that you've just met or whatever. And so I love the idea of doing an event and Christmas is a great time to do that, because most people are looking for things to take their families to, more than any other time of the year. It's like, what can we do? But doing an event where it's like, we're going to have Santa, and it's going to be during these hours, and it's going to, we're going to have this kind of thing. You just do.
You could do more of this stuff through social media now, but I'm going to do my own tangent. And then I got a third point I want to share. So one of the things you can do, whether it's social media or in the building or both, is leading up to the Christmas party. Okay. You can buy, I would recommend like 3 large gifts. Okay. So it might be a big TV in a box.
Holy heck, a big TV. We just bought a big, massive for $299 at Costco.
Yeah. So a big TV, a bicycle. You could set up a tent. The reason the point is, it's a conversation piece. It's obviously to get attention. If you've got the space and you can do large items. These are among the things that will be given away at our Christmas party.
Oh, and so they're in the dealership somewhere. And so, that's such a great idea.
Yeah, it's just fun. It's like, this is among the stuff we're going to give away.
And it could even be something like a season's pass for one child to the water park, or something like that for next year. Right. That kind of stuff.
So you
all sorts of stuff.
You just invite them, and you have to kind of set some rules around that too. It's like how many, just there's tangents, like there's stuff to think about in doing that. But the idea is, it's a huge amount of goodwill. It's a huge amount of relationship equity. So mostly what we're talking about here is an opportunity for engagement.
Yes.
That is led from the heart. If it's just showy and it's just about money and gift cards and put on social media
too. Yeah.
It's like, you can do that. It's better than nothing. But I'm saying, I want to do something that's genuine, that the customer will see.
Yes. And what we are, the differentiator for us is it a sales opportunity?
This is nothing about
sales. Because it has nothing to do with sales or getting someone to do a test drive.
This is about customer retention and customer success.
Or even getting them to trade in their car or anything. It has nothing to do with the note that they currently have with you, or about getting them to buy more notes.
It's about humaning.
Yes.
It's like, these are your customers, and we recognize them as human beings. We respect and appreciate them. Right. And so this is our opportunity to show that.
And they're the minute that you add sales to it, it really diminishes its genuine. It
kills the authenticity of the whole thing. It's like you're just here. You just brought me here to try to sell me something. And so it waters down the whole thing. So I think it's funny how dealers, and look, it's nature of a lot of dealers that they can be sales minded. Yep. And they're always looking to try to sell more. And I'm just saying, this at the holidays, what we're suggesting is go the goodwill route. Forget sales. Think about earning a connection with your customers that you have, and think about how that's going to pay dividends in the next 12 months. Then what's going to happen is, next August, September, you're going to have your customers say, "Hey, has the Christmas party date been set yet?"
And you used to get those kind of questions. And in no way am I saying that you shouldn't do, like, enter a raffle to win something by doing a test drive. That's not at all. But that that's a sales engagement.
That's a sales event.
That's a sales event. And so we're talking about customer engagement that has nothing to do with sales.
And goodwill is part of our appendix W. Like it's like goodwill is part of what we think you want to do. If you're a white hat dealer, this is about taking your sales hat off for the day or for the week or whatever it looks like, and just say, I'm just going to focus on my customers. And think about it. If we're thinking about a Christmas party, it's one day a year out of 365 days.
Did you forget how many days?
I did. I've been too much math. I need spreadsheets.
Except for leap year.
Right. Yeah. So anyway, you've got all this time, and so we're just going to give one day to. So I'm basically saying, leading up to it, it's an opportunity for us to reach out to customers when they're not past due.
Yeah.
We're just talking to them and saying, hey, we just wanted to, have a chance to talk to you as lead up to the holidays.
So you're going to get, do you have another option? And then I can add my question later. Yeah. Okay. So
my third payment option was payment vouchers, which we touched on here. So let me just kind of explain what a payment voucher is. It's essentially a coupon and whatever amount that I would choose. And by the way, if you're listening to this and you need some sort of payment voucher, we've got a little template we can provide you as kind of a starting place, but you could hop online and just use a certificate.
Well, and a payment or a deferral voucher, actually, if you give a customer a paper something and just added a note somewhere, then they're the ones that are holding it.
Right.
They're the ones that have to be responsible for it. So and they can mail it in, this is for my payment, or bring it in or whatever. But I would suggest that these vouchers be something that they have to physically collect.
Yeah. And I remember having issues where, are we responsible for keeping up with the customer loses it? Are we responsible for replacing it?
You can add a note in their account.
I'm just saying you need to think about it.
Yeah.
And you need to be prepared for that scenario and decide what your practice or your policy is going to be about that, so that, you can have that. But let me just try to clarify, because we've kind of touched on two different things.
Okay.
Payment deferral, again, would be
putting at the
pushing
end.
or to where, typically to the end, but you're going to defer the payment. That's typically the way that.
Or you could do like we're going to defer and do a third for.
That would be more like what I would call a payment arrangement,
okay,
and that could also be done. Like it's whatever makes sense for the customer, but you just need to be clear about what is allowed on that payment.
You can
deferral.
Even do that around your taxes too, and say we'll defer this payment till tax time.
If the software will allow you to keep up with that, sure. But the payment voucher is a coupon that you redeem in. It's like cash. That's only good on the account, so they can redeem it under certain conditions, right? And so it's like it's effectively cash, and it also helps with the Christmas party, because now I don't have to bring a lot of cash to give. So I draw for $100 payment voucher. Our next drawing is for $100 payment voucher, and I don't have to take cash from the drawer, but I have to budget for it because it's coming out of my cash accounts when that customer redeems that. It's coming out of my anticipated cash flows, right? So these are all just things that we can do. We can do any combination of those. But I think really for today is like when we're proactive leading into the holidays. And now, will we still have a little bit of a delinquency spike? Perhaps. But imagine how great it feels for a collections team and a dealer to be able to look at their past due list and say, oh, yeah, we've already got an arrangement with 80% of these customers who are past due on December 26th.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is all I'm trying to do.
Okay. So the question I has had is like, how would you suggest a dealer find the man hours, the bandwidth to be able to go through and call all of their?
It's with a collector who's doing whatever number of calls we're talking about. When we plan it well enough, here we are mid-October.
So
if
you got to make
well enough,
20 calls this week, 20 or whatever it is. Yeah.
Whatever it breaks out to be. But we just want to make sure we set aside a little bit of time. And by the way, these calls don't have to be done by a collector. It's really,
oh yeah,
right. I mean, you got other people on the team who've got some spare time, and whether it's a reception desk or whatever,
it's usually pretty slow on sales too. So
so you're just calling them. Maybe you're making sure that you just it's a courtesy call, and you're saying, hey, we emailed you some stuff. Want to make sure you find it. There's some options as we go into the holidays. We want to make sure you're aware of our Christmas
I like that
party.
idea. So it's like, I'm not here to talk about the specifics, but we sent you an email. Did you get it?
Well, and
or a text message. Did you get it?
What's the likelihood that the customer's going to take my call when they know they just made their payment on Friday?
Yeah.
And they see that the dealership is calling.
I like that idea an awful lot, that it's like everyone, like your first people to call is everyone that made their payment on time.
Right.
And then you start working some of the others and start getting the arrangements so that you're like ahead of it.
However, I just ultimately want to, because it's engagement, I ultimately want to talk to every customer. It's just that I'm not going to be surprised if the ones who are past due don't take my call. And so I want to start, I want to start working the list now, all the people that are current, and it's a reward thing. Like this is, dealers talk about this too, is like the customer, the team tends to know the name of about 20 to 30% of the customers. Why? Because they're the ones that are on the past due list and that they're dealing with all the time. Those other 70 or 80%, they never hear from them. The payment goes in automatic.
And we're always hearing from dealers. How do we keep that connection? They used to come in and bring cash every. This is one way.
How about call them on the phone?
How about call? And if they're not answering the phone call or whatever, then you can send them a text, send them an email. Hey, tried to call. Right. Whatever it is. But I do like the idea an awful lot of an email blast to all of your customers saying, hey, we've got this thing or something. Let us know, and you should be getting a phone call in the next couple of weeks.
I'm going to throw one more thing on the screen. If those who aren't seeing the screen, I'm going to recommend that dealers check out something called Vimeo. If they're not familiar, we've been using it to record short videos.
I love it. Yeah.
So what I think the personalization element of that is so good. And so I think what I would recommend for dealers is if I'm putting my receptionist in charge of following up, it would just be, hey, we're just following up to make sure you saw the email. There's a little short video that kind of explains what we're doing for Christmas. And so, but it's a more personalized now when you get, and Vimeo is easy. I should be getting a commission for this referral, for this mention, but no, it's a really slick system, and it's been around for a long time, and it's kind of a YouTube alternative, if you will, but they've got a really slick and easy way to be able to, and our V8 dealers know, because I use it all the time. I'm all the time communicating with them that way.
And
little short videos and occasionally a long video.
Sometimes not a short video.
Yeah.
And kind of squirrel, but not really a squirrel. It's in the same thing.
We'll see. Let us
a lot of dealers are going to say, I don't want to get in front of a camera.
Yeah.
I don't want to do the thing.
Okay.
Well, and it's funny because we've talked to some that have, like, they are known for getting in front of a camera, getting in front of people, getting in front and all of that. And through conversation, just because they're colleagues or whatever, and they're like, oh, you're never going to be able to get a dealer to do that. I challenge that 100%. And one of the dealers that we've been working with for, he's been someone that Jim's been a kind of a coach. Well, we worked with him really, really closely a couple of years ago, and then we've just kept in contact, and Jim's kind of come in and out of working with him. Is a dealer named Nick Duman. And Nick, when we first started with him, he wanted to learn how to brand himself. And so we were like, get videos of yourself talking about things so people get familiar with your face and And he was just like, cannot do it. And it was like pulling teeth. And so we're sending examples back and forth. And it's like, just something. You're going around and you're showing a how to do a thing, or you're interviewing one of your team members or whatever, and just kind of getting used to that. He put out this video, and this, he's been like he's been trying, he's putting himself in a place where he's uncomfortable. He did this video recently where it was the birthday for the oldest car on the lot.
Loved it.
And I loved it. And he and his sales manager are out there, and he's got this pie and he's like, we're going to be putting whipped cream in his face for every day that goes by that this car is not sold, or whatever it was. And so it was just, and he had fun, and he looked natural on the camera. And I was like, that it just takes practice. And so for all of the dealers that are out there, it's like, I could not do it. It's like, get yourself out of your comfort zone and just do little things. And you get to the point where it's comfortable.
I would add to that. It might not be as much practice as it is a decision.
True.
And
he made a decision
have to make a decision because all you're really deciding to do is let the customers get to know you. Just be real on camera. You don't need to be an actor. You don't need to become a polished actor. You just need to be you and let somebody run the camera.
Yep.
And so this is what we encourage Nick to do. And it's worked out beautifully. He's done a really great job with that. And he definitely is building his business and his customers love him. And what's not to love? He's a great guy.
Oh yeah. Well, and so it goes more to, if someone says, I don't want to do a video that we're sending out via email, it might take a couple of takes. You might have to have someone there to kind of, help you record it or whatever, but start doing stuff like that, because when we talk about we don't have connection with our customers, when they came into the dealership and you were the dealer principal, frequently you would have, it's a little conversation and so there was conversation there. You don't get that opportunity anymore. And so bring the conversation to them. And of just like, this is FaceTime. This is your dealer. And, we're doing this thing.
Look, we get it. There are some dealers who choose not to be known to their customers. They aren't the face of their business. And so if that's you, then that's fine. If I am the face of the business, then I would recommend, if the dealer does only a little short selfie video that just says, hey, I'm Jim. We appreciate your business at Joe's Used Cars or whatever. And be sure and come to our Christmas party on December 18th. That's it. End of video.
Yeah.
But it's real. It's genuine. It's just like.
And most DMSs have the ability to send an email, don't they? With a link for Vimeo or something.
Probably. Yeah, probably. So,
I mean, all DMSs are different. Or CRMs. Right. So love the idea of sending them via text, because people actually read the via texts. And then.
Well, if it's on your Facebook page, you can send it through Messenger or whatever. Technology will get
it in front of
the customer.
Yeah.
So I would just say this is part of it. And let me just say, folks, we got a big landscape project going on in our yard. And I think today we've run especially long. And I think Michelle is just stalling because she's just dreading going to work on the landscape project.
I enjoy those projects. They make me happy. Yeah. And I get to work muscles that we've been talking about getting back in the gym.
Attitude.
And and there is something about looking back on a project and going like, I did that. I did that. And it's super proud of even though I am a perfectionist, so I will always notice the little things that are not right.
Yeah.
Like I did that.
And I can look over and say, see that project over there that's 2/3 finished?
Hey.
I did that. I'm not pointing at you. That was at me.
Okay. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us on a Wednesday. Hope you guys have a great rest of your week, and I look forward to seeing you all on Friday with Mr. Jeff Martin, from the Executive Director of NIADA. He's the CEO.
Yeah, he's going to be here.
Okay, CEO. All right. Well, have a great day, everybody. Thanks again for joining us.